I'd much rather watch a ball game in here than out there.
But even if the fans marveled at the stadium, the players found that there were a few problems with the idea of indoor baseball that no one had anticipated.
The first time the players took the field and worked out, they made a horrifying discovery. Nobody could catch a fly ball.
You could not see the ball, and that was a pretty scary experience.
Yeah.
Pretty scary.
The thousands of skylights in the dome acted like a lens, smearing the sun into a blinding wall of light.
It blended in with the roof, the rafters, and everything else.
What finally happened was Jimmy Wynn lost a fly ball in the 8th or 9th inning of a very close ball game.
And I said, I got it, and
we let you have it.
They let me have it, and we looked at each other. The next thing you know, the crowd was hollering and screaming, and we heard a bang, and the ball took a hop to the center field wall, which was 406 feet away at the time. The time we looked at it, the runner was at the home plate for an inside the park home run.
The next day, the work crews started painting the skylights to block the sun. That solved the fly ball problem, but then the specially bred grass designed to grow indoors began to die.
They were left with a dirt field that they painted green for television purposes and for the aesthetics to make it look good. But it led to a rather revolutionary change in sports, because what the eventual solution turned out to be was something called AstroTurf. And from then on, a generation or two or three of ball players complained endlessly about the AstroTurf ruining their knees.
And ultimately, it wasn't just the ball players who complained. It was the public. The Astrodome had been built to shelter the fans from Houston's terrible weather.
But when the weather's good, most people prefer to watch and play outdoor sports out of doors. So, in spite of the hoopla that surrounded the beginnings of the Astrodome, this is the end of the road. Next season, the Astros play at a new stadium downtown.
The new stadium will also be covered, but unlike the Astrodome, its roof will be able to open. The new generation of retractable roof stadiums were created to give fans what they want, a chance to see baseball outside.
Come travel about Asia without the hassles. Stay at home and experience the majestic beauty. Join us tonight for a fascinating journey about Asia. There's something for everyone on the National Geographic Channel.
Can you feel your heart racing? Can you feel your body being pushed to the limit? Do you have the determination to go beyond your best?
Pleasure Palace. Rather, it was the first great dome built purely to make a point.
The Pantheon is the supreme, tangible, touchable, visible symbol of the Roman Empire that we have.
The Pantheon was the only temple in Rome dedicated to all the gods. And it proclaimed that the Roman Empire was not just the center of civilization, it had the sanction of heaven, too.
There's something about this building that begs to be sketched, and yet is impossible to capture in any one drawing. First of all, it's huge. You can't see it in a single glance. Then there's that circle of light that comes through the oculus in the roof. It's like some sign from the heaven comes down and grabs you. Everything about the Pantheon was meant to impress and even intimidate all who came here. This transcendent building where all the gods gathered to give Rome the authority and the power to rule the world.
Or more bluntly, the Pantheon was specifically conceived as propaganda. Built to serve the immediate political ends of one of the ancient world's truly innovative rulers. Hadrian, Emperor of Rome.
We cannot separate the design and meaning of the Pantheon from Hadrian's personality. It couldn't have been done unless Hadrian wanted it done. And because he was an accomplished architect himself, we have to say that he was deeply influential in the making of the building and the designing of it.
But for Hadrian, the Pantheon was more than an architectural statement. It was built to drive home the message that he was in charge. His immediate predecessor, Trajan, had pushed the borders of the empire to its greatest extent ever. When Trajan died in 117, Hadrian made the most radical decision a Roman ruler could make.
When Hadrian came to power, he withdrew the armies from what we now call Iraq and the northern part of Arabia, which was not a popular move, but he did it because they could not sustain the armies there, and because Hadrian had to consolidate himself with the fierce, proud generals that had been trained in the previous reign and probably didn't care much for Hadrian.
Hadrian knew that no Roman emperor could survive if his subjects saw him as weak. So he looked for ways to demonstrate that he remained the most powerful man in the world. To distract the masses, Hadrian sponsored 6 days of gladiators battling in Rome's amphitheaters. And on his birthday, he sponsored the slaughter of 1,000 beasts. But Hadrian wanted to create something more permanent. A monumental structure that would declare that his empire and its emperor were invulnerable. Almost all great public buildings in the ancient world were rectangular, with roofs held up by rows of columns. It was Hadrian's stroke of genius to realize that a dome could transform a building into a symbol of something much larger than itself.
The Pantheon contains the idealized circumference of the empire in a circle and a representation of the heavens in a half of a sphere, that is, the dome itself.
The dome did not come to the Romans by chance. It emerged out of a form they used for bridges, buildings, and aqueducts: the arch. Roman builders realized that if they rotated the arch in a circle, it would become this symmetrical, strong, three-dimensional shape, a dome, which was first used for such everyday buildings as baths. But even such small structures revealed the virtue of the form. Domes create totally open interior spaces. The Pantheon was designed to accommodate vast crowds, but its size reveals the fundamental engineering